Welcome to the World Rally Championship. Brace yourselves for the planet's most extreme motorsport as we take you through the thrills and spills of the 2004 season. Covering hundreds of competitive stages in 16 different countries and across 5 continents, the WRC is the ultimate test of man and machine. Competing on ice, snow, tarmac and gravel, the winner of this championship can claim to be the best driver in the world. Drivers are pitted against the clock over special stages that can incorporate high-speed jumps, hairpins and even water crossings. Reigning world champion Petter Solberg won the driver's title last year in 2003 with Subaru and stays with the team as their #1, looking for another title this year. He's joined by the promising young Finn, Mikko Hirvonen. The drivers compete on all terrains, such as the rough car-breaking gravel in Greece, smooth, high-speed asphalt in Germany, and treacherous, slippy ice and snow in Sweden. Citroën keep 2 of last year's drivers, with 2003 runner-up Sebastian Loeb partnered by the hugely experienced Carlos Sainz. After winning the manufacturer's title in their first full season, Citroën and Loeb will now be determined to show that they can take the driver's title as well. The backdrops to the championship are awe-inspiring, with the sheer drops of Monte Carlo, New Zealand's wild and rugged roads, and the lunar landscapes of Argentina. Peugeot return with a completely new car this year, but hold on to 2-time world champion Marcus Grönholm. Joined by Freddie Loix, the team will be hoping that the new 307 will be the car to beat in 2004. But it won't be easy. They'll have to negotiate the twists and turns and burning temperatures of Cyprus, Finland's flat-out blind crests, and the gruelling muddy forests of Wales. Ford makes up the last of the big 4. Marco Martin and Francois Duval will be doing all they can to make sure the Blue Oval is at the top of the standings this year. Co-drivers guide the drivers through the stages, allowing the phenomenal speeds of up to 200 kilometers per hour, as seen in the outback of Australia. Avoiding the ruts and rocks in Mexico, and they're crucial in unfamiliar territories such as Japan, another new addition to the WRC Tour. Mitsubishi start this year with asphalt ace Gil Panizzi driving the #1 car, while Gigi Galli, Christian Solberg and Danny Sola will share the second seat. Skoda are set to return later in the season, with German star Armin Schwarz and Finland's Tony Gardemeister as their lead drivers. Weather, landscape and varying surfaces go to make the World Rally Championship the most fantastic motorsport spectacle. Tough on drivers and cars alike, all you have to do is sit back and watch. Hold on to your seat.
The first stop on the rally calendar is Monte Carlo, and whilst the town was a picture of serenity, up in the mountains a lethal mixture of snow, ice and tarmac awaited rallying's greatest. However, the popularity of the Monte saw too many spectators flood into the first stage and it had to be cancelled. Stage 2 saw reigning world champion Petter Solberg eventually get things underway. On stage 9, Rally Monte Carlo really bared its teeth. Carlos Sainz, who was lying 5th, retired after this collision with the rock face. While Subaru's Mikko Hirvonen's rally also ended abruptly. Marcus Grönholm had problems with the team's all-new 4-speed gearbox, stuck in 3rd, 3 kilometers from the end of the stage.
FX for Timo. We still have 3 kilometers to go and we have only gear number 3. How can we switch manually?
Timo Raitiainen had to push the car into service, where the mechanics were able to solve the problem. But it would be Grönholm's tyre choice and not the broken gearbox that would open the door for Sebastian Loeb. He won every stage on day 2. With his lead up to nearly a minute and a half, he was disappearing over the horizon. On day 2, Marco Martin would end the day in 3rd, despite experiencing visibility problems.
Come on, you can see more than that. And the 6, 3 plus right.
He said he was getting sort of snow blind, and that was the problem. He couldn't see it, I could see it. And I said to him at one point, come on, you can see more than this, and he told me to off, so I guess they couldn't.
Never having gone well in Monte Carlo, Petter Solberg seemed happy to settle for 5th, and the 4 points that come with it.
Opens extra long, tightens 3 plus, 60, slow short 3 right. Is it broken? Yeah. 20, tighten up in left.
But that crash on the way up the Col de Turini meant that both the Mitsubishi of Gilles Panizzi and the Peugeot of Freddie Loix would finish above him on the leaderboard. Solberg was just hoping to make it to the finish. Here he's passed by Marcus Grönholm on his way to 4th position, a sound debut for the 307. On the final stage, Duval had been ahead of Marco Martin at every split. Team orders now took over to ensure Martin finished ahead of him, ensuring a Ford 2nd and 3rd. But all this was of little concern to Sébastien Loeb. He had dominated since stage 6 and recorded his 2nd successive Monte Carlo victory. So here's confirmation of Loeb's resounding win. He makes the first strike in the battle to become Drivers' Champion, while Ford will also be celebrating their 2nd and 3rd places. But for now, Sébastien Loeb was the king of Monte Carlo.
Monte Carlo winner and championship leader Sébastien Loeb was first on the road. Normally this would be a disadvantage, but the lack of fresh snow meant that on day 1, the icy racing line was already clear for him. Marcus Grönholm looked intent on making it 4 wins here, as he led after the first 2 stages.
We have steering problem, no power steering.
But on stage 3, the Peugeot's power steering failed and he plummeted to 7th. But Petter Solberg had other worries.
Petter, you're looking a bit worried. What's the problem? The response doesn't work on the car now. So we have to drive without the extra boost on the car, and we tried to sort it out, but it's impossible.
Down on acceleration meant that he'd be down on time, and it showed going through the stage. And with this off-piste excursion, he lost another 60 seconds.
Come on, come! Good lads. Okay, that way. 80. Flat right of a crest, into 6 left of a crest.
Carlos Sainz had a skirmish with a snowbank. And that left his radiator blocked with snow. And with his Citroën beginning to overheat, Sainz was forced to stop, so that co-driver Mark Marty could clear the blockage. And Ford's François Duval got too close to the snowbanks as well. He beached his car on stage 9, dropping more than 43 minutes. Marco Martin had been immune to the ever-changing fortunes of his rivals, maintaining a level lead over Loeb throughout the second morning. On stage 11, he approaches the same corner where Solberg had gone off. Braking his rear left wheel, any chance of victory was gone.
Push. John, looks like we've knocked a wheel off. We're blocking the road at the moment, blocking the road.
Justifying Ford's decision to use Finland's Jani Tuohino as their number 2 driver for this event. His experience in the snow had seen him move through the ranks to fight for 4th position with Carlos Sainz. But on the penultimate stage, the Sainz curse struck again when his Citroën lost a cylinder. Game, set and match to Tuohino. So the final few corners led to what was an historic victory for Loeb, the first non-Scandinavian to win the Swedish Rally in its 50-year history.
He's the first non-Scandinavian to win is very nice, because it proves that there are not only the Scandinavians who can go fast in this kind of roads.
So here's confirmation of Loeb's historic victory. The gap to second place Marcus Grönholm, 46.4 seconds.
As the Rally Carnival arrived in Mexico, the question on everybody's lips was how to stop Sébastien Loeb. First into the stages, the Frenchman was straight into the groove with 2 stage wins on the opening day. But this impact damaged the sump guard, resulting in a loss of oil pressure. Despite roadside repairs, he was forced to retire. Petter Solberg was starting to look like the man to beat. With 2 stage wins under his belt, he was pushing hard for a third on day 1's final stage. Perhaps a little too hard. Solberg was lucky to escape with relatively minor damage and also with his rally lead intact. But back in service, the Norwegian's luck was to run out. A flat battery in the Subaru forced Solberg to push his car through the time control. But he received illegal assistance, resulting in a 5-minute time penalty and ending any hope of a Mexico win. Meanwhile, Marcus Gronholm's worst fears were being realised.
We have no power steering.
What's wrong? Now guess, no power steering. And we have 2 long stages to go. I'm fed up with this car.
Teammates Harry Rovanperä, brought in to replace the disappointing Freddie Loix, had been in a promising 5th position when a broken steering arm compounded Peugeot's problems. Struggling out of the stage on 3 wheels, the Finn made it back to service but lost 16 minutes in the process. A mix-up for Carlos Sainz in service meant that he had to compete with tyres he'd just used. Then, this roll blew the Spaniard's chances, costing him over a minute and with it 2nd place.
Corre, Mark! Oi! Corre! Push, push, push! Push, 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 push!
Marco Martin had taken the lead on stage 7, and following Sainz's problems, teammate Francois Duval inherited 2nd place. And so, with the rest of the field out of the picture and the 2 Fords keeping out of trouble, Marco Martin would become the first ever WRC Rally Mexico winner. And with Duval in 2nd, it would also be a Ford 1-2. In the Drivers' Championship, that win puts Martin level on points with Loeb. This would be a rally to remember for Marco Martin and the Blue Oval.
For the 4th round of the World Rally Championship, the rollercoaster ride comes to Rally New Zealand. It will be one to forget for Mitsubishi. Their New Zealand experience would last barely 3 competitive minutes. Both Gilles Panizzi and Christian Solberg retiring after the first run through Thursday night's Super Special stage. With 3 wins in New Zealand already, Marcus Gronholm was looking to equal Carlos Sainz's 4 after taking the lead from Petter Solberg on stage 5. This roll, though, was to hinder the Big Finn. The damage was largely cosmetic, but more than 30 seconds were lost. Gronholm dropped to 3rd, and problems with his launch control heralded the return of the Peugeot's gremlins. On day 2, Francois Duval's attempts to catch 5th place Loeb went up in dust on stage 12.
2 in, 70, and go right 90, 2 in.
Co-driver Stéphane Prévost couldn't get the stricken Warmball to pull over and let them past, losing the pair 30 seconds and 6th place. Stage 20 would prove to be full of drama too. Francois Duval lost a wheel after hitting a rock. He would lose over 18 minutes while he made repairs. Same corner, and Harry Rovanperä went off as well.
Short hairpin left, double tighten.
Next through, Petter Solberg, and he hits trouble and loses the lead. Handed a 1.9-second lead, Gronholm could afford no more mistakes. However, a jammed handbrake on the next stage caused this spin, and around 15 seconds in the lead were lost.
Okay, we had a spin on the stage in the start and we lost already 20 seconds.
On the final stage, Gronholm went fastest, but would Solberg be able to go quick enough to retain the top spot?
Long, tightens long, 20.
The team's reaction tells the story. In the end, Solberg's winning margin was just 5.9 seconds over Gronholm in second. Marco Martin was third. Martin's 6 points here would see him take the lead from Loeb in the Drivers' Championship.
The party island of Cyprus next played host to the WRC. Petter Solberg made the first move, looking for a repeat of his win in New Zealand. He won 2 of the morning stages, taking an early lead, but not for long. Debris scooped up by a damaged front bumper was blocking his radiator, causing the Subaru to overheat, losing him a massive 10 minutes in the process. Of the early Cyprus casualties, Ford's Francois Duval would go no further than stage 1. That was the sound of his front left wheel falling off. Both Mitsubishis made it through day 1, but not the second day. Transmission problems ending the rally for Gilles Panizzi and Christian Solberg. Day 2 would be one to forget for Harry Rovanperä as well. A gearbox problem on stage 7 meant that he could not select second gear when downshifting, vital for the slow and twisty corners of Cyprus. But for once, teammate Marcus Gronholm was problem-free. He was leading the rally. With nothing to lose, Petter Solberg was giving it everything in an attempt to get back into the points, often right on the limit. This is his teammate Mikko Hirvonen at the same corner. He will be looking to learn from Petter this season, but that lesson was one to forget. It looked like the battle to watch would be that for second place between Loeb and Martin, but the fireworks hoped for didn't materialise. The need to bank crucial championship points taking precedence over getting involved in a potentially car-damaging duel, Loeb held on to second. So it was Marcus Gronholm who would take his first win of the season and the 307's maiden victory since its launch in Monte Carlo this year.
Stage is clear for Marcus.
Much to the delight of the team. But as the champagne was being sprayed, the validity of the result was being called into question. Checks by the scrutineers suggested that the Peugeot 307s were fitted with non-standard water pumps, thus breaking FIA rules. Both Marcus Gronholm and Harry Rovanperä were excluded, so here is the amended result. Loeb now the winner, his third victory of the season, and Marco Martin and Carlos Sainz promoted to second and third respectively. Loeb also assumes the lead in the Drivers' Championship, with Gronholm relegated to fourth. While in the Manufacturers' Championship, Peugeot's deducted points see them slip behind Subaru.
In Greece, Peugeot boss Corrado Provera spoke his mind about his team's disqualification in Cyprus.
Will we give up? Never.
Returning to the WRC fold was Skoda after a year's development sabbatical, but it wasn't a happy return. Armin Schwartz retired with suspension failure, and teammate Tony Gardemeister fared little better, electrical problems bringing an end to his rally, both out on day 1. Mitsubishi's bad luck was also continuing. On his first event for the team, Daniel Sola damaged his suspension on stage 2. Trying to make it back to service, he pulled over on stage 3 to let Roman Cresta past. The Czech Republic driver couldn't see him though. This crash took both drivers out of the rally. Starting the event just 1 point off the championship lead, and with Ford looking for their 5th straight win on this event, expectations were high for Marco Martin. However, Martin was soon caught out on the slippery gravel. A big drop-off ensuring he would leave Greece empty-handed. The Acropolis was living up to its reputation as a car breaker, and on stage 4, Carlos Sainz damaged his suspension, losing him more than 20 minutes. After a fairly unspectacular first day, finishing just inside the top 10, things were about to get worse for Mikko Hirvonen. The damage from this roll was enough to end his rally. But there were no such worries for teammate Petter Solberg. Keeping out of trouble, it was plain sailing for Petter, as 5 stage wins saw him take a comfortable lead. Day 2 saw attention shift to the battle for second place. Trying to make up time lost on day 1, Marcus Gronholm was perhaps pushing a little too hard. A big impact on the first stage of the day damaged the rear suspension. and roadside repairs weren't enough to see him through to the next stage. On the final day, Francois Duval had been looking to get into the battle for second with Sébastien Loeb and Harry Rovanperä, but this overshoot saw him settle for fourth. Up ahead, Loeb quickly set about reeling in Rovanperä, and by stage 19 he'd closed the gap to just 0.3 of a second, and another fastest time on stage 20 put him just 6.2 seconds in front of the Finn going into the final stage. And Rovanperä could do nothing about it. Second place would be Loeb's. Petter Solberg had increased his lead to nearly 1 minute, but it was discovered that he'd run the final stages of the day with no rear mud flaps. A small offence, but a relatively big 30-second penalty cut his lead in half. A faultless drive saw his championship back on track though. And the team could joke about what could have been a costly error.
Petter, that's been some fight. How was that?
With or without mud flaps, it doesn't matter. It works very well, and I must say, really happy.
So here's confirmation of the result. Solberg gets his second win of the season, with Loeb in second and Harry Rovanperä getting his first podium of the year.
Round 7 and the sun-drenched coastline around Antalya played host to the Rally of Turkey. Sébastien Loeb took to the stages as road sweeper, but fortunately the Frenchman was aided by overnight rain, which made the conditions very slippery for everybody running behind him. On stage 4, Petter Solberg had a tough encounter with a water splash, damaging the front end of his Impreza. Marco Martin had hoped for some big points in Turkey, but a catalogue of technical problems left his Ford Focus almost an hour off the pace. Hoping to repeat his podium of last year, the young Belgian Francois Duval faced his own dramas. On stage 9, he hit a rock at speed and crunched the front right wheel of his Focus. Things get even worse on stage 11 with a broken drive shaft. Harry Rovanperä had mixed fortunes. He'd been as high as 4th overall, but his challenge would end when his 307's gear change mechanism failed. Rally leader Sébastien Loeb was also having problems. A stall at the start of stage 9 was followed by this one near the end. This gave Marcus Gronholm a shot at the lead, but he was having his own difficulties of a very bizarre nature. A metal rod tore through the bottom of the 307 and straight through co-driver Timo Rautiainen's seat.
To stop because it came some stone or something through Timo's seat. Up in the Timo.
Things didn't get much better when he was forced to use the manual gear shift once again, and he also suffered a blown tyre on the final stage of the rally. Despite his tribulations, Petter Solberg could not beat Gronholm to second place. The Norwegian was to grace the podium once again and preserved his record of scoring points on every rally so far this year. But after 17 stages, Sébastien Loeb had held off everyone and picked up his 4th win of the year and his first ever genuine win on gravel. Despite returning to the service park on 3 wheels.
I won on tarmac, I won on snow, and only on gravel I never won, so it's my real first victory on gravel, and for that I'm very pleased.
So here's the result. Sébastien Loeb wins by a margin of 26.2 seconds from Marcus Gronholm. Carlos Sainz finishes a creditable 4th.
Argentina is always one of the most colourful events of the season and is also known for its huge crowds and water splashes. Petter Solberg had a problem with water splashes in Turkey. Here he decided to reduce his entry speeds by 30 km per hour, but to no avail. The Subaru scooped up water, badly damaging the engine. Solberg and Mills made it to the end of the stage, but despite their best efforts, the Impreza was going no further. Marco Martin came to Argentina desperate to get back into the championship battle. The Estonian was maybe too aggressive on stage 5, 6th gear and almost 170 kilometres per hour, and things went wrong. It was a massive impact, but Martin only had to spend one night in hospital as a precautionary measure, testament to the strength of the Ford Focus.
I have absolutely no idea what's happened. We were coming flat out up this hill and there was a small jump here, but it's kicked the back end of the car up unbelievably, and we've landed on the roof and gone end over end, and I don't know where I am at the minute.
Carlos Sainz had been chasing rally leader Marcus Grönholm throughout days 1 and 2. By stage 18, he'd managed to close the gap to just 12.9 seconds. The last time Marcus Grönholm won a rally was in Argentina over 14 months before, but the Finn's season of bad luck wasn't to change. On stage 19, a huge protruding rock broke the Peugeot suspension, in turn damaging the engine and ending Grönholm's rally. Sainz was now the rally leader.
Okay, we have hit a stone on the road and front right wheel is damaged and we are stopped on the stage.
Harry Rovanperä had an uphill battle on the first day, struggling with no power steering, but he managed to get the car back in one piece and in 5th. Subaru team boss David Lapworth had said he wanted Mikko Hirvonen to up the pace. On stage 23, he won his first ever WRC stage, ending 4th overall. And Francois Duval didn't disappoint either. He was more than happy to have achieved a 3rd place finish on only his 2nd visit to Argentina. With 4 wins under his belt, Sebastian Loeb couldn't be ruled out of winning here. But despite a problem with the Citroen's differentials, he managed 2nd place, consolidating his advantage at the top of the championship table. But this was to be an historic event for Carlos Sainz. He came home in 1st position, the 26th win of his career, a WRC record.
What does it mean to you to have your 26th victory?
Well, you know, I won here 13 years ago and I'm still winning. It's a very good feeling when you are 42 years old.
The margin between Loeb and Sainz at the end was over a minute and a half, with Duval, Hirvonen and Rovanperä even further back.
Rally Finland, always one of the highlights of the year. Subaru were hoping Petter Solberg could go one better than his 2nd place finish here last year. But the Norwegian had the flu and it showed as he was off the pace on the first morning. But he would soon be able to retire to his sickbed. Out of the rally on stage 4.
Is the reason that you went off today because you're just not fit enough to be doing this?
If you're going to perform 100% and in the World Championship you have to be top form, and it seems like maybe that is the small minus of my concentration maybe on this rally, and that's enough to destroy it.
Teammate Mikko Hirvonen is still trying to impress his team management and show what he's really made of. But it all went wrong on stage 10 for him, the short spectator stage. The fastest man from the outset was Harry Rovanperä. He looked to be firmly in charge, but Finland is famous for its high speeds and there's no room for error, as the early rally leader found out. The man fighting for the lead alongside Rovanperä had been Sebastian Lindholm, Marcus Grönholm's cousin, but he was caught out on the first run through on Empoya. Marcus fared better, assuming the lead after Rovanperä's crash, and even with a broken gearbox, he was 5th fastest on stage 14.
3 gears, whole stage. Look at the time. You can tell Corrado now at 3 it's enough.
Christian Solberg was the fastest of the Mitsubishis until he too fell victim to the Finnish roller coaster roads when his brakes failed on the 2nd run through on Empoya. Skoda were back in competition for the first time since the Acropolis Rally, with local driver Jani Parsonen. His 6th position proved his potential and that the Fabia can be competitive. Citroën struggled through day 1 with both drivers unhappy with the Sara's setup. But as the weekend progressed, so did the speed. Sainz would come back from his slow start to finish 3rd, not the first time he's been on the podium in Finland. Ford had drafted in home driver Jana Chuahino as their 2nd nominated driver to score manufacturers' points. and this decision was paying off. Finishing 5th rewarded Ford's faith in him. Ford's number 1 driver, Marco Martin, was suffering from impaired vision after his accident in Argentina. That, however, didn't stop the Estonian. He finished a comfortable 2nd. Peugeot knew their hopes were in safe hands, as Gronholm has won here 3 times before, and he didn't disappoint. Although he did give his team a few half flutters with this near off on one of the final corners of the rally. But this would be the 307's maiden victory. No one was going to take this one away from them. So here's confirmation of the result. Gronholm takes 1st place with Martin and Sainz completing the podium lineup. Sebastian Loeb takes 4th.
Round 10 of the 2004 WRC saw the tarmac stages of Rally Deutschland play host to one of the most dramatic events of the year so far. Peugeot's Marcus Gronholm was the first to be caught out by the slippery surface on the very first few corners of the rally. Game over on stage 1. After a blistering start behind the wheel of his Lancer, Danny Sola was the next WRC star to book an early ticket home. Teammate Gilles Panizzi fared no better and also had a fearsome coming together with the German scenery.
60 mètres, droite 90, petite corde. Je sais pas où on va là. Ma tête, ça va? C'est bon? Appelle.
Bruises and injured pride, but no serious damage done.